Okay, I'm going to make a video now of how to create the requirements from the D2 project. The D2 project is here, let me pull up the deliverables here. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the slides. Hopefully everybody can see this. I'll make it a little bit bigger. So, in fact, I'll make it bigger than this. So the D2 deliverable is a pretty simple deliverable. This is to install the DITA Open Toolkit to create a project, and then to create two types of output, HTML and PDF. So I'm reading the requirements from the class 4 slides that I handed out. So the first thing that you need to do is install and configure the DITA Open Toolkit 2.2 from D to L. So just to recap, when you go into D to L, go under Course Content, go into Resource Files, and then the DITA Open Toolkit that I've prepared for this class is the PSU DITA OT 2.20. So you will download that, and once it's downloaded, you will install it onto your desktop. What I've done is created a directory called MyDITA Open Toolkit, and then I've actually installed the DITA Open Toolkit right into that directory. I recommend that you put it on your desktop somewhere that you can find it relatively easily. Now this is the DITA Open Toolkit that I've patched to make sure that it works for our class. You would need to use this same Open Toolkit that I've provided. There are some rare instances that I've found that students are unable to make the Java version compatible with 2.2. Just one case that I've heard of so far. In that case, you have the option also of using DITA Open Toolkit 1.8.5, and I will provide separate instructions for how to use that. So, assuming we've installed the Open Toolkit, the next thing we need to do is to create a directory called MyPSU. So I'm going to create a new directory, and I'm going to call it MyPSU. Okay, and I'm going to go into that directory. And then the second step is that we create a concept called MyDITA, and we include an image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my text editor. In this case, I've pulled up Sublime Text Editor. You can pull up the text editor that you choose. I recommend that you do not use TextEdit on the Mac because it puts in the incorrect quote marks. So from here, I know that having looked at these slides that there is a concept that fits this description, so I'm just going to continue down the slides, and I'm going to find my concept that includes an image. So you could type out this whole thing in Notepad, or you could carefully select, making sure that you get only the markup here, nothing more, nothing less. And I'm going to do copy, and then I'm going to go into my text editor, and I'm going to paste. And in some cases, you see what it did is it put an extra line feed at the end of the concept. So I'm going to, let's see, can I zoom this? I don't know that Sublime Text lets me zoom. So rather than spending too much time on that, I'm going to just hit the backspace so that my concept is doesn't have that extra line feed. And you'll notice here that it says the image is in an image element whose href attribute points to a directory called images and a file called fruit03.png. So I'm going to need to remember to put that in there also. So I've created this this topic, and I'm going to do a file, save, and and I'm going to navigate to my desktop, my PSU, and then the name of the file needs to be MyTask.dita. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm going to save. Now I'm going to check my PSU, and sure enough, there's the concept. I know that I also needed to have an images directory for that image, so I'm going to create a new folder called images, I-M-A-G-E-S. Let me verify that that's the name that I wanted here. Yes, it is. And in there, I need to put an image file that will resolve. So I know that I just happen to have one laying around called fruit03.png. So I'm going to put that there. Oops. Let me see if I can put that back in there. Okay, so now I've got an image that will resolve. You can put any image you want there. Just make sure that in your file you have it named correctly so that the image will be found by the DITA Open Toolkit. Okay, so then my next step, okay, so this is what we've done. We've put the image there. Create a reference called MyReference. So I'm going to put this on my clipboard, Command C, and I'm going to say File, New File, and I'm going to paste that in there, Command V. I'm going to make sure that I backspace so that I don't have that extra carriage feet at the end. This one does not have an image, so I'm just going to say File, Save, and it's already in the directory where I want it to be, and I know that the file name needs to be myreference.dita. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Okay, moving along, the next step then is to create a task called MyTask.dita. So again, I'm going to copy this XML, and I'm going to go into Sublime Text Editor. I'm going to say File, New, and I'm going to paste. I'm going to backspace over that last carriage return or line feed. I'm going to do a File, Save. Again, it's going into the right directory, so I'm just going to make sure I get the file name. Okay, and I'm going to save it with that file name. Okay, and then the next step is to create a map called mymap.dita map. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to say File, New. I'm going to paste, get rid of that last line feed, and I'll save. And I know that the file name I need is mymap.dita map. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Okay, so I think I have all the files I need for this project. So now I should have an images directory and these 4 files. So if I look here, I have an image directory and these 4 files. So that's all good. And I'm going to then start my DITA Open Toolkit. So because I'm on Mac, I'm going to need to use my terminal. Which I got from my utilities. And I'm going to see if I can increase that view. Okay. And I'm going to change directories to my, I'm going to see what my directories are. So I'm going to do ls. In Windows it would be dir. And I see that my desktop is in one directory above, so I'm going to say cd. That's the same command for Windows or Mac. DESKTOP, enter. or return. Okay, now I'm going to do another ls, and I'm going to see that my DITA is the directory that I know that I have my files in, so I'm going to do cd space my DITA underscore OT. Okay, and I'm going to ls list files, and I'm going to see that I have the start command here, so I'm going to say sh for shell, startcmd dot sh. And when I do that, I see that I get this note that tells me that the creator of this software said that this command has been deprecated, and then I patched it to say that we do want to use it for this class, so that's fine. So now I'm going to type DITA -i mypsu / mymap.ditamap / -f space pdf space -0 space mypsu out. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here somewhere where I can see it, because I have a very bad short-term memory. DITA space -i space my psu / my map dot DITA map, so far so good, space -f space pdf space -o space my psu out. One thing to mention, this is all case sensitive, so you have to make sure you get the case correct. So I'm going to say enter, and it's thinking about it, which is a good sign. I'm not seeing any errors yet. Okay, and it returned the command prompt with no errors. So I'm going to go back into my DITA Open Toolkit. I'm going to back into the root directory, and I'm going to find that it did create the mypsu out, and it did create a PDF file. Okay, so let's see what the instructions say to do next. Okay, so I need to verify that the compile was successful, so I'll double click, and I see that it made my map, and I see my concept, and it has my image, my reference, and my task. So it looks like everything worked. So I'm going to exit out of that, backspace over that, and now the next instruction is that I do the same thing, but I'm going to make XHTML instead of PDF. So I'm going to go back to my terminal, and I'm hitting my up arrow. What the up arrow does is it gives you the last command. You can up arrow through any of the commands. Now I'm going to down arrow to come back to where I am. So I'm going to backspace over PDF, and I'm going to write XHTML space -o space my psu out, enter, and again it's thinking about it, and again I don't see any errors yet, and it did return the command prompt with no errors, which tells me that if I now look in my psu out, I also see that it made XHTML, and the instructions say that I should verify the success of the XHTML compile. So I'm going to double click this index file, and indeed it gave me the XHTML, my concept, my reference, and my task. So all of that is confirmed. Very good. So the next step is to zip the input and the output directory and email them to me. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to backspace here. So this is my input directory, and I'm going to hit my command button or my shift button, and now I have the output directory, and I'm going to right click, and in the Mac you say compress 2 items, and it will create the zip file for you. There it is. On the Windows, it's a similar procedure. I think it says create WordPress directory or something like that. So that's how you do the second deliverable, the D2 deliverable. If you have any questions, please let me know. This should work for you. If the DITA Open Toolkit does not work for you, please let me know, and I will make the DITA 1.8.5 available to you, and there will be a slightly different set of instructions for that. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.